Welcome back to Rules of Engagement. Hope you enjoyed our last two sections about how to play against mech and TVT, and then basically understanding the macro decisions you make throughout the game and how to play to take into account those decisions in a Zerg versus Protoss. Now let's take a look at a game at a Protoss versus Zerg replay, and we're going to talk about how to learn from your games even when you win. So this replay is sent by Seraph, and he's asking, I have been doing the 2-base Immortal build in PvZ, but I feel that I'm winning mostly due to my opponent's mistakes. How can I improve on my play regardless of my opponent? So when you want to make sure you're improving, no matter if you're playing versus an AI simple, a player who's worse than you, or a player much better than you, it's important to do a couple basic things. And one of them is you should know the steps to your build. This is if you're trying to improve in a specific build. So I should clarify. If you're trying to improve in a specific build, know the couple steps to your build. Find out which of those steps you're weakest in, and then focus on that specific step when you play. So let's start out with a 2-base Immortal build and knowing the steps to this build. So knowing this, the first step is that you have to get to a certain worker and production count. So for 2-base Immortal, you want to get to 45, 46 workers, somewhere in that range, and you want to get up to 7 to 8 warp gates along with that robotics facility. So you need to get to that worker production count as fast as possible, and then you need to get a bunch of guys and move out. So you need to get your army, move out to attack, and then you need to micro your guys very, very, very well. Those are the 3 steps to this build. Now you need to find which step you're weakest in. So let's take a look at this game. And I don't even have to look at this game because for a timing build, well, I mean, I kind of do, but for a timing build, 99 times out of 100, it's always the same mistake. That's the biggest weakness, and this is true even at the pro level. It's going to be, for a time build, it's almost always you're not getting the worker production count as fast as possible. If you're shaving off a minute from the build, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, those things make a much, much bigger difference to any type of in-battle micro you could execute. So if you're there at home, just assume that the thing you need to work on the most is probes and getting the production building set up. And the way to test this is to look at your game and then look at a professional player's game doing the same build, and look at what time they move out and how much units they have when they move out, and then look at what you're doing. And if you're more than 30 seconds off it, that's a huge error in probe and production build timing, and that's actually something that's not too hard to fix. It's much easier to get better at that, and it plays a much bigger role in your wins or losses than it is to try to improve your micro. So I'd definitely focus on that. Once you gain once you do this, now you need to figure out how to improve this. And it makes such a big impact in your game because once you want to optimize your probe production before you optimize your warp gate and robotics facilities, because once you get a strong economy fast, you're naturally going to have that extra money. You're going to just throw down those warp gates and robos, and it's kind of you have to get the economy before you can get the production. So always start out with trying to maximize the probe production. So we're going to pause it here in this replay, and we're going to take a look from Sarah's point of view, and he's only got 26 probes now. And for 6 minutes in the game, that's not very good. And there's a couple things we can tell that are looking kind of bad for the probe production. The only thing you want to do is rush the 45 probes at this point in the game. Don't think about anything else but rushing to get that ideal economy that you want to get before you stop and build it for a time attack as fast as possible. So if we look here, we've got a Nexus with 75 energy, a Nexus with 40 energy. This energy should have already all been used on chrono boosting probes. 75 energy is 3 chrono boosts, 40 that's 4 chrono boosts, that's 2.5 more probes just in chrono boosts you could have. And then of course also we only see 1 probe in the production line. That should always be 2 when you have 2 nexus. It should always be 1 when you have 1 nexus. Missing an extra probe, that could be 3, 3.5, 4, 5 extra probes you're missing. And that extra income over the next several minutes is going to build up to significantly delay your timing attack. So once you fix this probe production, you're going to naturally start getting your robotics faster. In fact, if the probe production was better, not only would you have a robotics facility already started, but you would have much more income going forward, so you would be shortly going to think about starting your extra gateways. I mean, one part of the way is there's not much gas income because the gases are taken slightly late, but that's not that big of a deal. I mean, you could be starting to robo right now still, and this is okay. It's about a minute late, but that's not too bad. The bigger issue is the fact that the probe production is so low, it's going to slow down the way in which you can build up your warp gate units drastically. So now we know what the weakest step is going to be, and you can always just compare timings with those of a pro doing the same build to try to make sure that you're in line. Now we need to focus on that step when we play. So we've learned the 3 steps to the build, right? 1, you got to get a certain amount of workers and production buildings. Then you have to build a bunch of units. Then you move out, attack them, and micro-well. Then we found the weakest step. Okay, it's building the probe production. And now we need to know how to focus on that step while we play. So what you need to do is every time you play your game, you want to focus on the step you're trying to work on. So while you're playing this game, all that should be going through your mind is build probe, build probe, build probe, build probe, build pylon. Build probe, build probe, build probe, build pylon. And you should be doing that until you're hitting the 45 mark, which you should hit by roughly the 8-minute mark. You should be at 45 probes. So here we're already past the 8-minute mark. It's only 36 probes. That's a significant economy loss, just because, I mean, you're pretty much losing about 400 minerals a minute, and over the next couple minutes, that's going to add up to having maybe 30 less food when you do move out. So you want to keep your mind focused on that aspect you want to improve. And then the next thing that's important is because your mind is going to be so focused on that, you're going to be making other mistakes. And that's natural. There's also an oversaturation problem in the main, and not enough probes in natural. But that's a side problem. That's something to worry about once you're good at making probes. Then you can worry about where to allocate them. But you got to keep your mind focused on the task you're going to do, and that's going to cause you to lose games to weird things. Like let's say they cheesed you. You're so focused on building probes, you forgot to put your Zelda in the wall. You forgot to make the wall correctly, and all of a sudden you lost the game for kind of a silly bit of a reason. That's okay, because you're not trying to win the game. You're trying to improve in a certain aspect that will make you win the game more later down the road. So you got to grade your play, not based on winning or losing, but on improving the aspect you're focused on, and that's where you get those benchmarks saying, you know what, he killed me with the cheese, I should have stopped because I didn't scout the nidus, and he killed me at the 8 minutes. But you know what? I don't care that I lost at 8-minute mark. I want to see how many probes did I have at the 8-minute mark. Did I hit my 45 probes? Did I have my all my 7 gateways and my robotics done? Did I have 2 immortals out, or maybe 1 immortal out, a second one being started, and a 3rd one on the way by the 8-minute mark? That's what I care about, not whether or not I lost the game. So you have to grade your aspect on improving. You have to grade your play on improving the aspect you're focused on, not being results orientated and caring about whether or not you won the game.